Hi, everybody. Mike here. Wanted to talk about leaving boot camp and heading down to Fort Benning. Fort Benning, Georgia, home of the 101st Airborne. I didn't know that. That's where they trained the paratroopers. It was an Army base. The 818th Engineers is where I was assigned to the motor pool. Like I say, my MOS coming out of basic training with no schooling was this, I believe it was a 6310. Today's Army, they call it a 91. It's an MOS, Military Occupational Skill. It's a 91. Pretty much I was a grease monkey. Knew how to fix cars, brakes, oil changes, transmissions, universal joints, all kinds of stuff on the car. Same thing you would do to your car to keep it running on a regular basis. The only thing we weren't allowed to do in our unit was to change an engine. That had to go to a different echelon, okay, because they rebuilt the engines at a different place and you had to replace it. Fort Benning, Georgia, 1969. It's a very old fort, at least the section we were in. The barracks we slept in were from World War II. Very drafty, very open, no heat, no air conditioning. Was cold on the cold nights and hot as hell on the hot nights. Veteran mess hall. Went into the main office when I got there. There was a guy there. He had the green patch on his sleeve with a yellow bar underneath of it, which was a Spec 5. So I guess he's like a sergeant, but he's a specialist clerk. And he was in charge of all the personnel coming in and going out. So I went in and met with him. He gave me a little bit of a hard time and welcomed me to the base. It was a first sergeant there, all kinds of stripes on his sleeve, all kinds of stripes on his arms. Been in for a long time. He's a 20-year guy. Most of these guys have already been in 4, 5, 6 years, and I'm there. I've only been in the Army 6 weeks. So they give me an assignment. I get a bunk, lower bunk, first floor, right across the street from the headquarters. So I go over there, get settled in, unpack my duffel bag, start to meet some of the guys. And I really wanted to talk about is the people that I met there. Now, people were from everywhere. There was a couple guys from New Mexico, several guys from California, it was a pair of twins from Missouri, chewed tobacco, looked identical, and they were there. We were all mechanics, grease monkeys, truck drivers, and it was an American Indian, a guy who was American Indian. And we were talking about what's going on and did you get drafted and everything. Out of the 70 or 80 guys that were in headquarters company, there was probably a dozen that were drafted. Everybody else was a lifetime soldier. They had been there for a long time. They had been in the service for a long time. They were all Spec 4, Spec 5, Spec 6. Specializing in certain things. There were a couple sergeants down the motor pool that were in their 40s. Everybody's just trying to get their 20 years in so they can retire. And pretty much the theme was they really had nothing going on at home. They came from small towns or inner cities, had to do something to get away from where they were because it was a dead-end life. They saw their friends weren't going anywhere. Their life wasn't going anywhere. They couldn't get a job. Now, what the Army was offering you, and it still does today, not that I'm promoting the Army or trying to get anybody to use it to enlist, but what you do is you sign up for the Army. Not only do you get a job and get trained on the job, but you get a place to live, you get paid, and you get free meals. Well, it's quite a deal. If you wanted to get out of your town, you wanted to go see the world, or you were just in a dead-end town, you didn't like what was happening to your friends and really your girlfriends and all that stuff. Maybe you wanted to go in and try to make a life for yourself somewhere else. This was the way they did it. A lot of guys from the South, too. Alabama, Georgia, Florida, North Carolina, South Carolina, they were all there. All been there for a long time, a long-term military service. A few of us that were drafted, we just hung out. We were happy to be there. It was pretty easy duty. Pretty much, we just sat around at night. There was nowhere to go. You didn't have a car or anything. After we were there for a while, a couple guys did get cars, and we could go downtown, see a movie once in a while. And it was Macon, Georgia, was the town. It was right outside of, right near Fort Benning, Georgia. A couple of times we made the trek over to the WAC. The WACs had a base in Alabama, and we all piled in this guy's 59 Chevy. He was from Texas, and we made the trek over there, and we went to a dance they had over there. It was a nightclub, and they had a band and everything. It was pretty cool. We went over, and there was a lot of girls there that were in the service, and a lot of guys that were in the service. Pretty much, I'd say for the whole night, it was like a high school dance. All the girls stood over there, and all the guys stood over here. A couple of us were forward enough to go over and say hi and everything and try to get a dance. So that was pretty cool. We took an R&R. You take a long weekend. We went down to New Orleans in 1969. Crazy place. I hear it's still crazy today. I haven't been there in a long time. But that was pretty much the theme of everything that went on there. These were lifetime soldiers that we were with. They all had escaped the life that they had, trying to find something better, and the Army was giving that to them. I still know guys today that want to be air traffic controllers. They join the Air Force, and they try to get training as an air traffic controller or a jet mechanic or electronics mechanic, where they can get out in 5-6 years, maybe say 20 years, and work at the airport. They would have a job, a skill. People wanted to be a policeman. They would sign up and go in the Army to be an MP. Because you're 18 years old, nobody's going to hire you to be a policeman except the Army or any branch of the service. Would get you in as an MP, and it was a lot of young guys there. I mean, I was 18 at the time. Everybody was 18, 19, 20 that was drafted. The older guys were late 20s, early 30s at the least. A lot of crazy things that I didn't understand either. There was a guy there from Texas. He was 25 years old, and his wife, he had just gotten married last year, and his wife was 14. And he was having a problem with her because he lived in government housing on the base for the men that had wives, and his wife made friends with the teenage girls of the other families. And she was giving him a hard time that she wanted to go to the high school dance with her friends. Well, that wasn't going over too good. So he had a hard time. He put in for a hardship transfer to get out of there, to get away from that mess. And pretty much at that point, when people leave, you never hear from them again. After we were there for a year, guys started to get orders to go to Vietnam, to go to Germany, to go to different places all over the world. We did get a few guys that were sent to Vietnam, and we got notice about 30 days later that they never showed up for their deployment. So they went AWOL. I don't know what happened to them. I never heard from them again. I know the one guy, his wife was pregnant, and his girlfriend was pregnant, and he was from California. Jack was his name, and he was assigned to go to Vietnam. I'm not sure where, but we did get notice that he never showed up. But that's just an observation I'm making. I thought maybe it'd be interesting for you to see that not everybody was drafted at that point in time. There's other jobs in the military besides soldier, besides fighting. Don't get me wrong. We all had weapons assigned to us. We had to go to the rifle range once or twice a month and use your weapon. Make sure you know how to fire it. Take it back, clean it, put it away, make sure it worked. And that was your responsibility. We also had a 45. So I had an M16 assigned to me, and also had a 45 caliber assigned to me. And after a while, you really got good at it. I mean, you could take it all apart, put it back together. But it was guys, like I say, from all different walks of life, all over the world, all over the United States, actually. All ethnic groups were all represented there. Everybody stayed in the same bunks. We all ate in the same mess hall. It was just family atmosphere. And one thing I have to take my hats off to were the cooks. We ate like kings. We had a lieutenant, a captain, and a lieutenant colonel in our unit, and they were eating at the same mess hall we were eating in. Superb. I mean, we had eggs Benedict, we had steaks and baked potatoes like you wouldn't believe. So, never tried to put myself off as a hero or, a good fighting soldier. I did my tour, I did my duty. I really did have it pretty good. That was pretty nice to be in Fort Benning, Georgia. I got some other stories I'll tell you, but I think that's enough for this one. All right, thanks for listening.